I just laugh at them, but everybody needs to feel for them to understand.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to Curious K Podcast. Beautiful conversation with founders, startup stakeholders, VCs, policymakers, and everyone working to make entrepreneurship thrive on the African continent. And today, we have the pleasure of speaking with a friend, who's a brother, Rahman Bamgbala is the founder of Dosh and Tech. Please let's give a round of applause. Welcome, Rahman, to Curious K Podcast.
What's up,
Yeah,
bro?
yeah, yeah. It's a pleasure to have you here. You know, and having this conversation, I remember we met, like maybe like 2015 or thereabout. When startups from Passion Incubator moved to Idea Hub, right? So, as you guys know, if you've been following this podcast, I think I've mentioned a couple of times. I used to work on a startup called Talking Books. We got into an incubation program in a startup program called Passion Incubator in Yaba, Lagos, Nigeria. And at a point, the founder moved to Idea Hub, which is a government-funded hub somewhere in Yaba too. Back in 2015. And this hub is like located just beside CC Hub, which was founded in 2013 or thereabouts. And it was when I moved as part of like the founders working in Passion Incubator to Idea that I crossed paths with Rahman, and we've known each other since that time. And looking back now, that's like 8 years now. Wow, that's a long
Wow.
time. That's a
Wow.
lot.
Sorry,
That's,
that's actually a long time.
that's a long time ago. So happy to have you here today, bro. How are you doing today? How's it going?
Well, good, good. It's good to be here. It's good to finally be part of this interesting journey. It's really nice to be here. I'm good. So,
These are some of the things we explore, right? I know you've had a lot of experience in the tech ecosystem in Nigeria. You're a veteran yourself. You've started company, raised some cash. You know what this all means. But before we get into that, I would like you to tell us about you being a tech entrepreneur, right? How did that start from? And how did you even get into Idea Help? I don't think we've had that conversation before. So it would be great to start up from there.
okay, I think for me, it's always fun because I two things for me. Number one is I've had this skill growing up. I'm a people person. Yeah, I know how to initiate conversations. I know how to create relationship. Those kind of people. So there are people that they call the. I'm looking for a specific word for it. The people person. I think it's called the people person. So I'm that guy that knows a guy that can get something done. I'm that kind of guy. So there's nothing like nothing you want in Lagos State that I do not know a guy that does it. If I don't know a guy that is doing it, I know a guy that knows a guy. So I've been good with people, I'm good with relationships. So all my life I've always thought, okay, if I'm good with talking to people, I'm good in building relationship. I think those are one of the important traits of being an entrepreneur. You know what? I think I should go into doing my own thing. So that for me has always been one of the things that always pumped me into that. Secondly, was growing up, I come from a family that my dad was a civil servant. He worked at the bank, he schooled outside Nigeria. So he grew up in America and he was exposed to certain things these developed nations have. So at a very small age, I had access to a computer. I remember then there's this company called Zynox. They were one of the top companies. Just very few people might still remember Zynox because I didn't even know if they're still in operation. So Zynox were the guys that used to provide tech equipment for CBN because my dad worked at CBN then. So my dad got a laptop and he brought that home. I remember it was a Zynox PC, a computer we had at home. So at a very young age, while I was still in secondary, I think from secondary school, I had access to a computer. So those things I could play with, learn. I remember I started learning with Mavis Beacon. I don't know if you know Mavis Beacon. So it was an application where they taught you how to type on a computer and all of that. So those were my early days. And I grew up in Yaba. And Yaba, as you know, was the center of um, tech, as at the time where tech became a big thing in Nigeria, in Lagos, basically. So my house was a 5 minute walking distance from my dear. And I'd always gone to CC Hub before CC Hub became CC Hub because my mom had a friend that used to go to that had a shop in that building. Then the building was called Folawiyo Chambers. So I think Folawiyo was a very popular Yoruba man in those days in the 90s. So my mom used to go there a lot. I used to go there with my mom. So I kind of knew the entire environment. I knew the development of CC Hub, the development of, I knew when they were building Idea Hub. That is how funny it was for me. So I grew up in Yaba. So all of that really affected my upbringing into tech. And of course, I'd always looked at this and I said to myself, you know what? I think I was going to try this. And you know, the funny thing was, I had an educational background in engineering because I had always loved cars. At the point, I wanted to become an aeronautic engineer. I wanted to work with planes and all of that. So I went to school. I had a degree in mechanical engineering. But finishing school, I did my internship at Honda. So and then I really didn't. I wasn't feeling it. I did not like the way we were being treated because they were like, "Oh, you guys are different. Oh, you're just coming from school. You guys were like the butty boys." Then the call street guys that were really the technical guys were treated differently. I wasn't enjoying it. So that experience really pushed me to, you know what? I think I should just go into tech rather than forcing myself into this because there were a lot of things going on in the engineering industry that wasn't really pleasant. So I decided to go back to school, went to Aptech to get another degree in computer science. I did computer science and infrastructure. So I learned everything from programming to networking. I went back to learn everything before I decided to just major in software development, basically. So that was my journey into tech. I worked with a couple of people here and there. Started working with my uncle that had a visa consulting company called Dubai in 48. So I'd worked with him. His name is Jasper Akiyemi Abiodu, one of the best people I've ever worked with in my life. Then I also had a mentor. His name is Godson. He still runs his own IT firm till today called Exact Financial in Ikeja. So Godson was my mentor, and then I would go to his office because his office was just they were even using our family property. So they were one of our tenants in our family property in Yaba there. So they had this tech office. So at my free time, I would go there with my laptop, just see what they were doing, try to learn from them, use free internet then and whatnot, and speak with him. And one day, he and my dad sat down with myself and we said, you know what, I think you should go into our tech and try to further more on this, build a career out of this, if this is really what you enjoy doing. So I went, and you know, the funny thing was, my first exam I did, I failed. My first tech exam, I failed. So then there was this certification we usually take then. So it was a Microsoft certification. I think I got 50 or 60%. I can't remember. And I was really happy that, oh, I did well. And I got to my uncle, and my uncle was like, Oga, what are you smiling about? Your cutoff mark is 70%. And I was like, really? Where I was coming from, 60% was like, Oga, you are good to go. So it's like, are you sure I made the right choice? But, you know, it was something I was really passionate about. I was going to take back. And I went back, I took 4 certifications exam. Right now, I'm a Microsoft certified specialist. So I had 4 certification in Microsoft, did a couple of things. Then after then, I started working with my uncle. So my uncle had a contract with Guinness, where he was a solution provider for Guinness. So we were working on solution called Ivory Distributor. So the solution was to take inventory of all Guinness across the country. So we went from different outlets in each state. So I was on that project and I wasn't feeling it because I was coming from a very technical background and my task was to work with data. So I had to clean data on Excel. And the way those companies worked, they were really structured. So you have to use the company's PC. You can't use your own personal PC for work. You can't install third-party application except you have to talk to your line manager, which was the technical administrator before you can install all of that. I mean, coming from a guy that had learned programming, I was telling them I could write a simple command line that would sort out this data for me. Easy. All I just need to do is upload the file, the CSV file, and it will sort out the data. But they were not feeling it. They were not on the same frequency level as I was. They were still doing it the old way. And I was really struggling. So it was more of I did not know what I was doing to them. And to me, it was like, I don't think I should be here. These guys do not
Mm.
get this. And one day I just told my uncle, I don't want to do this anymore. I want to just do my own thing. And my uncle, Godson, I always thank God for him. Because you know the funny thing is not is Igbo and Yoruba, but it gradually, you know, those guys that you grow up with, you look up to growing up as a kid and just becomes your family, that becomes everyone your your family look up and say, okay, this is now your younger brother. We want you to guide him. And anything I wanted to do, I told Godson, boss, this is what I want to do. And I always had his blessings on it. He told me, Rahman, go and make your mistakes. It is normal for you to make mistakes. Make the mistakes, learn from it. That is what is going to make you a man. And he let me go. And when I was going to set up my company, I went to meet my dad. Funny story, when I was going to set up the company, I left business. I told my mom. My mom was like, hey, no, this, that. You can't do this. You can't do that. My mom was so scared of me leaving. She was like, she was going to go to Guinness and go and beg my bosses at Guinness to take me back. I'm like, mommy, I sent out my resignation letter already. It's not possible. It doesn't work that way. But at the end of the day, I knew what I wanted. And I'm also lucky that I had parents that were very supportive. And they're like, you know what? If this is what you want to do, all well and good, go ahead and I'll pray. My mom is very prayerful. My mom is an Elijah. I'll pray for you now in our word. My God, in the Yoruba word, which means I'll pray for you. And she did. And I think that was how my entrepreneurship journey started. So I got a space at Idea Hub. Then Idea Hub used to be 15,000 naira a year. That's how much it cost to have a space. To show you how
Idea.
long. I'm telling you, that's to show you how long that has been. It was
Yeah, I don't think
15,000
there is a
naira.
space that can even charge 15K a month right now.
It's not possible, bro. With the cost of power, diesel, and all of that. And Idea
Yeah.
of with that 15,000 naira, it got me a space. It got me internet, got me power, it got me everything I needed. So then I just said, okay, I brought in my friend. And if you look at my story, see what I said. I've mentioned two people now that have been part of the growth of my life and are still in my life today, which is Akiyemi Abiodun, Jasper, Godson, still in my life today. These are people that I still speak to on a daily basis about my life and whatever decision I'm going to make. Now, there's a friend of mine called Ife Ayoniran. Shout out to Ife Effective. He's a digital marketer now. Ife and I, we've been friends for like a long time. And you know the funny thing, Ife also interns with Godson. So Godson had a partner then called Shola Adewumi at Alago Meji then. So they had their own tech company. They were doing digital marketing. Had a couple of services that were rendering. So that's why I knew Ife. So at the time where I was starting, I called Ife. There was a guy too called Solomon. I called him. I was like, bro, this is what I want to do. Blah blah blah. Let's come together. I have the idea. I'm good with people that can market these. I can speak to people. Let's come together. And that was what gave to the birth of Intercourse Solutions, which
Intercourse
was my
solution.
yeah, which was my first parent company. My dad was even the first person that gave me my first 15K to rent an office space. Yeah,
So
and that was
that's where you got your seed funding from. It's just interesting to to connect to the value of hubs or innovation hubs, and
yeah,
how important that is in growing or driving entrepreneurship. Because even at that 15K, based on like the mandate of Idea or back then, I'm sure that's going to be like subsidized. All right.
yeah,
Because
yeah,
yeah, that's going to be really subsidized because I'm sure government funded. The goal is to support the growth of
entrepreneurship.
entrepreneurs. And looking back and realizing that Idea Help doesn't even exist, again right now, it's heartbreaking, right? But looking at the growth of other hubs, other innovation hubs in Yaba, it's still really good and it's still inspiring. But I can imagine still having those kind of facility, that can just make the onboarding for entrepreneurs, just very easy and seamless. Because I'm sure when you got into Idea, there are a lot of other founders, community, and other young people, and it was a very really exciting time. So what are some of the memories then, that you can connect to being Idea Hub or even starting out in the core solutions?
Um, too many, numerous opportunities, exposure, people that I remember. I met with there's a woman I met with then called Amy. Then there were companies like Kamodi. I don't know if you know Kamodi, but
Yeah,
to be honest, I think I'm an OG this tech game for real because I remember then they were like there was Kamodi, Lamodi. Lamodi was for land, Kamodi was for cars, and these were
yeah,
subsidiaries of um, KMU. KMU Africa was that marketplace. Then marketplace e-commerce was just beginning to get on the rise in Nigeria. And I met Amy. She was the CEO of Kamudi then, and we were trying to come up with some sort of initiative then. And so I remember then Idea gave us, we the young guys, a whole lot of opportunities, exposures, things that we never knew we could even do ourselves. And shout out to my boss forever, Fumbi. Fumbi really helped us. Fumbi Falaye
yeah,
really,
yeah,
really gave us a
absolutely.
whole lot of opportunity. I remember Fumbi would fight with me and say, Rahman, come here. I need you to give me your KPIs. I need you to create a document. There's a document I still have today that Fumbi created for me at Idea Hub. Then, when Fumbi became the facility manager. I was like, okay, this is what you need to do. I need to know your milestones. I need to know what you're trying to do. And those things then, it felt like, oh, this man was being hard on us, but this man was actually building us for the future. And those were opportunities that we got at our young age, working with from these government initiatives and the likes of Idea Hub and whatnot. So opportunities down to relationships that I've built. I have people that I met 10 years ago from this initiative and are still my friends today. There's a guy called Ahmad Mokoshi, the founder of Gigalayer.
Yeah, Ahmad has been on the podcast. Yeah,
Yeah, Ahmad and I are very close friends to date. I'm
yeah.
also a consultant for Gigalayer, his company, as we speak. And so those were relationships that opportunities that I got from this initiative. So it has really contributed to my own success. And God willing, I plan on setting up a hub myself just to give back to the society to help the young generation because there's a big there's a big problem coming up soon with the young generation in tech and I've been able to see it firsthand and I really want to contribute to try to solve in that problem basically.
Ab- Absolutely. Yeah. So I know you worked on Intercore Solutions for a while then, right? And at a point, you transitioned to be the CTO of Instant Group. Can you just give a background into that? What is instant group? How did you get into instant group? What did you achieve at that point?
Okay, so instant group, as some people used to say it, was something that happened from um, instant pickup. So basically, like I say, if you look at my story, yeah, my story is all connected. Everything I do is all connected. I'm a people person, and yeah, and that was what gave up to the birth of instant group. So Ahmad was getting married. My friend Ahmad Mukoshi was getting married then. So we just made a funny joke. And I was like, Ahmad, you know what? We've gone to hang out a couple of times. And if you're getting married now, we might not be able to hang out as frequent as we want to. Okay, you know what? Let's go to restaurant, let's go and eat. So we shortlisted like so we're going to go to like probably 10 to 15 restaurants in Lagos before you got married. So at night we went to Tilt. There's a restaurant called Tilt Terrace, but it doesn't. I don't think it's still in operation. It's owned by Obi Franklin. So we went to Tilt Terrace to eat. Ahmad and I, and Ubi welcomed us. Then we, s- then I think the restaurant belonged to Ubi, so he welcomed us to the restaurant. We spoke. From there, he was like, "Oh, what do you guys do? Oh, we into tech, blah blah blah." That's how we connected, Ubi and I, and we ended up working together. That was what gave birth to the birth of Instant Group. So then we decided to come up with a product called Instant Pickup. Instant Pickup was to solve was more of an hospitality solution, basically, where what we're trying to solve was getting laundries done for busy people. So we had a solution where you could order for your laundry to be picked up while you're at work or your preferred destination to get it across to your preferred laundry, get it laundered, dry clean, and delivered back to you. So we're sort of a laundry aggregator, basically. So that was what Instant Pickup was all about. And Intercourse Solutions was the parent company that developed, managed Instant Pickup app till it became huge, and that was also what gave birth to the birth of Instant Group because we had other products after the success of Instant Pickup. We had Instant Apartments, which was more for short let apartments, basically. Then we had Instant Ride, which was a hailing cab services, basically. We had to form up Instant Group, basically.
All right, interesting. Yeah, so can you tell us about like fundraising? How was it like? Because okay, now you've started Intercore Solutions. You're able to get some seed fund to pay for the office space. You have some clients paying for services. You are not like
Because we had never been looking for funds at that point in time. I just wanted to set up something because I believe over time funding would come as long as you are resourceful and you are diligent in what you do. So for me, it wasn't about funding, setting up Intercom. And so I did a lot of bootstrapping. And from there, we had to pay bills from services that we render yeah, and whatnot, basically. But as at the time of the birth of Instant Pickup, yes, we secured some funding. So, when Intercore was growing and we were going to have Instant Pickup, I had a partner. That was Obi Franklin. Obi came in and he was a partner to he took some shares in Interco Solutions, and basically he was the business guy. I was the technical guy, basically. So Ubi was the one that sorted out the financing part of the business. I sorted out the technical arm of the business. So we were able to raise quite a good amount of money then for the better of instant pickup and subsequent products that we built, basically.
so looking back now, in terms of, the instant group journey, the intercore solutions, what are like the opportunities that you think that, okay, wow, if I had this opportunity, right? I would have done this differently, or I'm going to do this differently if I should have this kind of opportunity staring at my face again.
To be honest, there are certain mistakes that I think are needed to be made in life as you grow. And I'm glad I made those mistakes. However, I think right now for me, if opportunities come my way right now, one of the things for me is it is important I start small and grow big because I feel like people do not appreciate the value of you starting small. So you see these days, that is why these days any founder that you see, everybody has an idea. The next thing is they are drawing up a pitch deck, they are trying to raise funds. I, for one person, I do not subscribe to. I believe in starting small, then growing big. So for me, if I had the opportunity again, I would pick starting small over just trying to raise money and grow big. I want to be able to create something first. I want to be able to have a track record to say, okay, this is what we have done. Because also it just gives you more credibility. Because if you are going to an investor, you're speaking and you're telling them, oh, I need X, Y, Z. The first question they are going to ask you is, what are your numbers? And these days, people don't look at that. Everybody just feel, oh, if I have an idea, let me just drop a pitch deck. Let me try and raise money. I've seen a lot of pitch deck come to my table and say, oh, I need funds for this. And in my head, I'm like, do you really need funds for this? I've been in your shoes. I've done this. I can do it. I practically was running Intercom without any funding. So for me, it's just important that people understand that. So if I could do this again, I would rather start small. I don't want then when Instant Pickup started, we had an office in Lekki, we had a very beautiful office space. We had a lot of staff, and all of that. The success of a tech company, it is not in your staff strength, it's not in your beautiful office, but it's in your product, it's in the value that you create, the value that you give to the people, to your customers. So for me, I'd rather have a small office but a bigger platform. Do you understand? I don't know if you get my point.
Yeah,
Than just so
absolutely.
because you see, if you look at that's why today there are a lot of tech companies dying. You see today, I was reading the news about a company. I'm not going to say their name because I'm not sure if it is genuine, but they said they were closing up, and someone was saying, "Oh, they just raised some funding, maybe $40 million or something, 2 years ago, and they're closing up." There are a lot of companies that I know that shut down, and simply because today you raise money, the next thing you are going to rent one office in Ikoyi, in Lekki, you are paying 3.55 million rent. Your salary overhead on a monthly basis is like 5 million. You guys have the fancy office and all of that. But your product is not growing. You are not moving from point A to point B. The numbers of downloads you've had in the last 6 months has not increased. Numbers of users you had have not increased. But you're going into fine offices. But that's not what tech is all about. Tech is all about solutions, actually getting the work done. So that is why a lot of tech companies today are not lasting. So for me, I would rather start small, build a working culture, build a product, a stable solution first before I want to be out there. I'd rather let my product do the talking for me.
Great. So tell us about your work now at Dosh Tech, Dosh and Tech.
Okay.
And when did you start building that?
Okay, so at some point, like they say, every nothing lasts forever. Everything at one point in time comes to an end. So at some point, I stopped working with Instant Picker to certain reasons that were personal, and obviously we all understand business issues and whatnot. So I left the entire business and I had to go back to just evaluate things, reevaluate my life, and I decided to go back to the basics, do what I enjoy doing. So which came about intercourse solution. Sorry, Dosh services basically. Dosh services is an IT consulting and services firm. As you know, the parent company is Dosh and Tech Integrated Solutions, and it's a two-arm business. So there's the services arm and there's the product arm. So coming back into starting afresh, I needed cash inflow. And I went back to the basics. I wasn't looking for investors, I wasn't looking to raise money. I wanted to go back to the basics of doing what I love doing. So I started with the first time, which was Dosh services, where we rendered services to businesses, provide consulting services, development services here and there, build solutions for businesses and whatnot. So, which is what Dosh services still does to date. And for the product tab, which is where we have our own in-house products, which we just recently launched one called Pebble Signatures, which is a one-stop shop for hospitality, basically. And still goes back to the funny thing I said about being a people's person. Shout out to my friend Ibrahim Aguirre. In the course of my journey in life, I've been lucky to meet very wonderful people. Ibrahim Aguirre came up with the name Those Services, not even me. And I don't know how that works for me. Most of the time, the names for my companies, businesses that I do are given to me by people, not me.
Trust.
Ibrahim used to be a client and a friend, a brother. I used to provide some those intercourse solutions then used to provide services for his company at Jabo Market. So we used to provide digital marketing services for him, for his business then. And we got close, we played football together, we became very close friends, and we had a personal relationship outside business. His wife is my lawyer. She's a very fantastic lawyer, Fari. Shout out to Fari as well. Um, we just became really close friends, and Ibrahim gave me the name of those services basically, and that was how those services started.
Interesting.
Yeah, it's
And
been
you guys
like
have
three
been
years.
growing. Okay.
Yeah, yeah, it's been like those services started from um, my sitting room, basically in normally. So I'd stay and I was lucky enough to get an apartment through one of the clients that became a very close friend, a, a advisory uncle and all of that. So he had this apartment in normally, five-bedroom apartment. It was vacant. He wasn't using it for like 3 years, and we were just gisting one day. I was in his house in Parana Island, and we were gisting, and it was like, oh, I was trying to get a space. After I left instant pickup, I was trying to pick my life back up, start telling about. I was like, oh, I think I have a space in my Monday. I've not been using it. I think you should go and check it out, whatnot. And that's how I got the space. And I called back my boys again. I called back Ife. Remember, Ife was the person that started Intercom with.
Yeah.
I called back Ife again. Ife, this is what we're doing, blah, blah, blah. Ife and I sat down, we dropped our plan. And Ife and I were living in that house. And so Ife was upstairs, my room was upstairs, downstairs, the living room, we just converted it to an office space. Put in internet, put in chairs, and we started those services again. We started hustling here and there till those services started growing bit by bit. We got to the stage we are today. So if you look at something I just wanted to point out, my journey as for me is one of my skills I was able to identify early stages. I'm a people person. I know how to create that relationship. And that's what has helped my growth to today. So for example, there was a time I came to your for an
Yeah.
event. And
Yeah.
I can't remember. I think I brought someone. I can't remember, but I was there. And come tomorrow, there's something I need to do in that space. I don't need to look any further. I pick up the phone and call you straight. I have clients that need hosting solution. I pick up the phone. I call Ahmad, and that is something I've been able to build over time in my life, which is I try to speak with decision makers.
As an entrepreneur, or even if you're building your career, I mean, it's important it's a skill to learn, but for you, it's like you're born with that talent, but that doesn't mean people that don't have the skill, you can't also develop it because it's a very, very important skill. Yeah, thank you for sharing that, Raman. So, as you round up, what are the things you just want to share or some nuggets you want to drop to the listeners?
Okay, so there's a problem. First is for everyone going into tech, yeah, especially you have to go through the basics. I, for one person, people will look at me and say, "Oh, if you listen to my story, oh, this guy, wow, this guy." I knew Floater Wave when Floater Wave was still an idea. I knew Andela when he came to Nigeria and we were starting Andela. I'm sure you guys knew him too. I knew people like that. I knew Prosper Otemwewa before Prosper became Prosper had known him. Remember then I used to organize this football competition where we used to play with different tech companies. We played with CCO, we played with Filter Wave and all of that. So I knew these guys, and these guys are not overnight success. They paid their dues. They walked the walk. So these days, the young guys just, oh, you just think you just go from point A to point B. Yeah, it might happen for you. Not everyone is lucky. But trust me, even when it happens, if you are not careful, you will not be able to sustain that progress. To me, my advice to people is there's no overnight success. You have to pay the dues. Secondly, is another problem that I've seen in tech. Most of these new guys are not employable. The young guys might disagree, but everybody is entitled to their opinion. I come from a generation where I learned the basics, working culture, communication, how to send an email. Those are the basics that are extremely important. You see the young generations today. I believe I'm still part of the young generation, yeah, but still there are still different levels to young generation. I was going to employ a guy 2 months ago, and he applied. I did the interview personally when I was speaking with him. So I asked him, where does he work? He said he works at Ikeja, Okwebi. Where does he stay? He said he stays at Yaba. And I was like, okay, so why are you leaving your job? He said he wants to go fully remote. He does not want to work. And in my head, I'm like, how old are you? He said he's 20. I'm like, I'm sorry, I do not have so much faith in you yet because there are basic things that you need to learn. There are basic things you need to learn. And if you don't learn that in the proper environment, you would struggle because everybody just feels, oh, it's just for me to get a job, sit down in my house and write code. I've seen people that will give excuse like, oh, I was on the road. If you have a remote job, it simply means that between certain hours that were agreed, you need to be with your system. You need to have internet access. I can't call you and say, oh, I need to get this done, and you're telling me you don't have power. Oh, you don't have internet, all of that. All of these things happens, but it's important that if you say you are not going to work from the office, you don't want to do on site, you want to do remote, you need to ensure that these things do not become an issue for you. You need to ensure that communication is not an issue for you. And that is why, for me, I say that there's a whole lot of gaps. 2, 3 years from now, businesses will gradually move back to on site because there's this gap and it is getting wider every day in our industry where the guys that have the skill do not have other things needed for them to keep that job. My company's trying to do something, but doing something with First Bank. And First Bank's requirements, when I was looking at their requirements compared with the CV of the people I was going to employ, I'm seeing people with 11 years of work experience. Are you telling me you expect me to take a guy that just left university, had 6 months work experience remotely to a guy with 11 years experience? There's a very big gap. I'm not going to do that. Because these days, when I employ boys, first thing I tell them is send an email. And you'll be surprised they don't know how to send an email. They're sending an email as if they're texting you on WhatsApp. Some people would even prefer to text you on WhatsApp. I had to fight a battle of moving people from communicating on Slack. Stop communicating on WhatsApp. We can have basic communication, see, oh, I need you, oh, where are you? But when it comes to proper communication, communicate on Slack, send emails. I had to train them till getting to a phase where I now trust them enough to start sending emails out to clients. Because as a business owner, I can't do everything. I can't come up with ideas, sit down in brainstorming sessions, try to chase business, try to do this, try to do all of that. It's not possible. So I had to go through all of that. And now, what that simply does is I've created a culture in my business that anybody that comes in, there's a template they have to follow. But the sad part is now I have to keep training the new guys coming in over and over. That's the problem. So I would advise them, even startup guys, before you start up your own idea, take an internship offer, work somewhere for minimum of 3 months, learn the basics. So when you start your own product, your own ideas, it will be easy for you to integrate what you have learned into it. There's a guy I met, his name is Success. Um, Success is the man that owns the Abraham is the owner of the band, his son, Success. I met him and we were talking. And we were talking about creating a solution for Abraham. And the guy told me that he was going to take a 6 month internship program in Jumia. That he wanted to learn operations, e-commerce operations properly before he would go and sit down and learn that $1 billion company his father has. And that is a boy that has the funds, he has all the resources, but still went back to the basics. Because you can't do away with the basics, basically. So for me, that's just what I have to say. And always never do away with your people. Shout out to also my wife, because she was there from the one and she helped me, although she helped me to getting intercore, helped me to getting those services to where it is today. So for me, the people that have been with are people that have helped me a lot to get to where I am today. So that's pretty much it for me in my journey.
All
Basically.
right. Yeah, I think that's fantastic. Very important lessons in terms of learning those basics, right? I mean, if you don't have the foundation built right, then what can you build on it? Nothing. Whatever you build is going to crumble. So, I mean, it's really important for people that are looking to start a business, to start a new startup. I mean, to just get that experience. All right. And that's why if you hear people working with maybe top corporations starting out businesses, they're able to move faster, maybe because of the experience that they have. But that doesn't mean you can't still start on your own. There is no right, no perfect answer for this. But most importantly, stay curious, make sure you learn, and understand the basics of everything you're getting into. Thank you very much, Rahman, for being on
Thank
Curious K podcast. It's really
thank you
been a
for having
great
me.
and exciting story that you've shared today. I've learned some new things about you as well. And I'm sure the listeners out there, they really enjoy this conversation too. So thank you everyone for listening. Remember, stay curious and see you next time. Bye bye.